Welcome to Rev Shots, your weekly dose of quick hit wisdom, where we tackle the most pressing topics of the day for ourselves and our revenue teams. Our show features expert guests with decades of experience. We delve into what works and why, sharing tools to be unapologetically successful, from making our number to delighting our clients. If you're ready to boost your knowledge in under 30 minutes on a weekly basis, tune in. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest features. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Rev Shots today. I am Dion Major, your host, and we are on episode 79, believe it or not, everybody. We took a little bit time off over the summer, and we are back, and I'm so excited. We've got Maria and Janine with us today. And believe it or not, everybody, it's September. We are entering the not even the summer slide, but the slide into the Burr months. So if you haven't started your Christmas shopping yet, here is your friendly reminder. So again, thank you for joining us, and make sure that you are following me on LinkedIn and connected with me on LinkedIn. You're definitely going to want to stay up to date on some of the changes, not even changes, but some of the updates we have coming out. Launching a book in 2026 called Lead with Soul, Ambiguous to Agile. Yes, you can be successful without being an ass. Learning how to get your leadership methodology in line to lead effectively and bring your team with you. So make sure you're joining us for that. And with that, I am beyond excited to have Maria with us and Janine. And Maria Dunn runs Workrite Solutions. It's an HR consulting and leadership firm built to make the people side of business less overwhelming. Her approach is very straightforward, human, and sprinkled with humor, hence the small talk sucks tagline for our talk today, and can make even the toughest HR and leadership challenges easier to handle. You're a writer who finds joy in storytelling and exploring life's everyday lessons. Maria, I'm so happy our paths have crossed, and thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I always enjoy our conversations. And I wanted to cover my ears when you said, do your Christmas shopping, because I'm so not there yet. I don't know why you had to say that just to kick us off, but okay.
I know.
Yes, your intro was perfectly well-rounded. I am an HR consultant, started the practice a little over 2 years ago, coming up on 2.5 years ago at this point. I like to say helping companies sleep better at night. So we can dive into what that looks like. It sounds easier than it is, but.
Oh, it is not at all. So I love that. And Janine, you are joining us as well. You are an operations leader and coach, and you're coaching a leadership development practice, LV Leadership. You focus on helping leaders grow with authenticity, courage, and humor. I like a good humor, so for sure. And your goal is to give people practical tools to thrive. I love that. And build stronger connections with their teams. And you believe that leadership is about trust, culture, showing up in ways that make others better. Absolutely. I love everything you're talking about with that. And I know you are also a contributor for the Lead with Soul book coming up as well. So I look forward to having your insights there. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. It is trust, relationship building, all of those things are kind of the foundation of not only my coaching practice, but Maria and I also train. We've got a program called Lead Right, and truthfully trust is definitely the thing that, weaves through a lot of our conversations. And so I do that in my coaching practice and in my operations team work. It's just, I can't say enough. And I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more when we talk about small talk. Kind of our reaction on that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining today. I appreciate that. And I agree with you. Trust is at an all-time low. There's a Gallup poll that basically says, if I recall correctly, about 23% of employees trust their leadership, which if you do the opposite math, this is an $8 trillion problem or some astronomical number. In addition to people are just disillusioned and they don't care. And so that's a whole separate topic right there for sure. But it's this notion of if you're going to lead. And that means you cannot sit behind your desk and do nothing. So no offense, I probably just offended a lot of people.
It's an active process, right? It's not passive at all.
Amen to that. So topic for another day. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
A lot of passion.
it is because I've been on I think we've all been on the receiving end of that. Okay. But topic for another day.
Yep.
So the question we ask every guest is, what is the singular topic you're hearing right now in all of your conversations with folks, and what are people doing about it?
Well, so Dion, I actually am going to say it's not a topic for another day because interestingly, this was exactly what I was planning to talk about, and you didn't know that. So, yes, for me, I think the interesting thing is as an advisor, I get to hear both sides of the story in a way that feels more honest, whatever the reason for that is. And so talking from the employer standpoint and the employee standpoint, employee trust is down. And I also see that it goes the other way a lot of times where the employers are also not trusting. And with that comes a lot of defensiveness, and so those two things, the lack of trust and defensiveness, are themes that we are seeing over and over and over again at an all-time high or low, however you choose to look at it. And they're complex issues, right? They cannot be solved easily. They have multiple layers. For me, it comes down, in all honesty, to a big lack of connection. And so when we talk about that, you mentioned that I'm a storyteller, so I'll tell you a quick story. I dabble in trail running. And the other day I was on the trail, because I dabble, sometimes I have to stop and take a breath. and I had stopped in the middle of the woods. I was hunched over and I saw coming towards me this little tiny ant. And I allowed myself for just a minute to stop, be present, watch this little ant who was carrying something in its mouth that appeared to be at least twice the size of its head, and also happened to look like a little nugget of gold. I thought it was so interesting. And in that moment, in all honesty, as I'm reflecting back on it, it felt almost like a childhood curiosity that I felt at that time. So I actually snapped a photo of it and then continued on my way. And as I was thinking about this conversation today, the thing I think we've all lost is our ability or willingness to be curious. And what we've done instead is we have replaced it with autopilot and armor. And so when you have those things with a lack of curiosity, it's nearly impossible to have the amount of connection we need, which of course shows up in our lives and our work lives. And so for me, I think that's what a lot of it comes down to.
That is so well said. Love the analogy and agree with you. Janine, your thoughts on that too?
Yeah. And I will say, I've seen a picture of the ant. It does look like a little boulder of gold, little nugget. And, I encourage you guys to reach out to Maria to see it as well. But yes. And for me, and that's why there's such a good tie-in, what I hear from my clients all the time is they have a hard time building relationships. Some of it is, you think of the COVID era where everybody was remote. And so that created some of that distance, right? And so now I'm going to say post-COVID, people have different feelings on that. But in this new environment, some people are coming back to work. Some people are still at home. And building that relationship, that water cooler conversation, those water cooler moments aren't necessarily there. And so in my mind, building some opportunities to create those, because like I said, what I'm hearing from my folks is they don't know how to do that anymore. Think about our kids. They're on their phones constantly, right? They're engaging through the phone when the person is directly across from them at a table. And so that era of small talk to me needs to be embraced and brought back in ways, because I saw this comment somewhere and it said, small talk isn't small at all. It's where trust begins. Yeah. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Having that conversation, Maria and I had this conversation the other day about small talk and why she, feels in a certain way. And ultimately it comes back to that caring, that curiosity. And so there's this automatic nature of, how are you doing? I'm fine. How are you? But you're not even listening to the answer, right? And that's what we talk about when we say small talk sucks. It's the part about really caring and being curious, oh, why was it so great? Or why are you doing well? What's going on for you that feels so good right now? Or whatever. Be curious, be willing to, ask the Ted Lasso questions and, really get into it and be present for that person. It's a shame. I mean, Maria will tell you, I'm pretty direct. I jump into things and I've gotten feedback about actually doing more small talk. And this was years ago in my career, and it has been probably one of the biggest gifts for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where Jeanine and I, we've been known to have a little healthy debate from time to time. And thankfully we both come into it with open minds, and she's been successful in helping me to see that side of it. For me, I am an introvert. I'm in a very extroverted career, but as an introvert, small talk can be exhausting for me. Yep. And I really value those deeper connections, but we can't just go around, going straight to the good stuff, as I call it. We need to develop, to Janine's point, those relationships first and those connections first. I think my concern with it is that we stop there. We stop at the surface level. We stop at the habit. We don't actually come at it from that angle of curiosity. Just as a quick example, before I started Workrite, I was in a leadership position where I was charged with leading an HR team that, unfortunately, because of business conditions, we had month after month after month of mass layoffs. And it's nearly impossible for that to not have some sort of impact on you as a leader, on your team. So I was struggling not just with the experience of that, but also trying to keep my team afloat, trying to keep morale high, worrying about my team's retention. And there was an attorney that we were working with at the time who reached out to me by phone one day. And he said to me, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing okay." He said, "No, how are you really doing? This has to be really difficult for you." And Dion, it was so impactful to me. I remember where I was. I had pulled over in my car to take the call. I remember how I felt in that moment, but it was the first time that someone had seen and recognized that what I am dealing with as a leader is challenging, and actually cared enough to ask about it. So, I share that story because it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be time consuming. And nor am I suggesting that when we do this, we do it with the intention of it being a therapy session. Of course, that's not what I'm suggesting. But I am suggesting that we open our eyes a little bit and see and care and question a little bit more today. And in my opinion, it's the small things that make a big impact. So
I agree with you, right? There's the phrase that says it's not the massive chandelier giving off all the light. It's the little night light at the top of the stairs that makes sure I don't fall down the stairs in the middle of the night when I need water and hurt myself.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. And I think, so it sounds like, and I agree with you. I think small talk sucks if it's cursory and superficial.
Right. Exactly.
And I agree with you. So, I mean, I grew up from the Midwest, so we do a lot of how you doing. Right. We do a lot of that. And, but I mean it. I really want to know. And to your point, it doesn't have to be a therapy session, but sometimes you can be like, man, I'm really struggling today. I don't think I want to talk about it. I want to, cycle through something else. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I would venture to guess, and I don't know you all that well, but I would guess that when you ask it, you do so in a way that people know you mean it. So, that also can come through in how you're asking it, in your tone, are you passing by in the hallway as you say it, or are you stopping and giving eye contact as you say it? There's all kinds of small things that impact that. And from a leadership standpoint, Jeanine and I, again, we train leaders, and through our program, curiosity is a theme that we continue going back to and talking with them about, because it's not just a connection point, but it's where innovation thrives. And so if you have a leader that truly isn't a curious leader, it's very difficult for them to be as effective as they can and should be.
For sure. One of the things that I challenge my coachees to do is, you have to start from somewhere in the relationship. And so, Maria mentioned about you can't just jump into the meat of things. There is a little bit of back and forth or banter when you're starting meetings. Don't immediately jump into the here's the task. Instead, stop for a minute, check in with folks, maybe reveal something about yourself. It's part of being that, vulnerability showing up in places, which is another topic we talk about a lot, because when you show that you can be vulnerable, when you show that you can have the conversation that you're encouraging them to have, especially as a leader. We were senior leaders at the same company for a while where there was a lot of challenge. And so many of our colleagues weren't able to be vulnerable. Instead, they felt like they needed to know everything. They need to be in charge. They needed to constantly be the one. It's exhausting to always be the one. And if that's what you're modeling, then nobody else knows it's okay either. And so in those meetings, stop and go, how are you guys doing? I know we've got a lot going on. I know it's been challenging. Or even something as silly as taking 20 minutes out of your day in that meeting to play a game.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it just breaks it up. Just try what you can to bring people into the moment. Most workers spend more of their waking hours with their peers and colleagues and team than they do with their own family.
Yep.
So, understanding what we're asking them to do each day by leaving their house and coming into an office, it's important. It's important.
Yeah. I agree with everything both of you are saying in so many levels. And it seems as if, so yes, we want to have small talk. We want it to be meaningful and impactful, and it doesn't have to be a therapy session. There's a way to do it in such a way that when you're leading with your heart and your mind and your intentions aligned, you show up that way and people can feel it. Right. And that is the reason why many times people don't like the return to office. There's value in being in person. And I know we do our show here, but there's so much value though, physically from science. I'm not going to get into it now, right? But it's a science thing. Like it's a biological thing. So, but it sounds as if, and I think in whiteboarding, right? So we want to think about small talk done right is part of our journey to, it's not even, I think rapport comes before relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like the small talk done right gives us the rapport, which is the connection and the start of chemistry, which gets us to a relationship, a personal professional relationship that allows us to give and get feedback and grow.
Yes.
Right.
And so if I had, now follow me, like in your head, picture the journey, that's the journey of it. So is that what you're seeing people do to be successful, right? And maybe there's mistakes, right? Sometimes we learn from our mistakes more than we do from our successes, right? And at the end of the day, we as humans, we don't change when we see the light. We change when we feel the heat. And so talk a little bit about how you're seeing people, those are my words of effective small talk leads to rapport leads to relationships lead to revenue, results, rewards, all the good things at the end of the day. So that's how I think people are addressing it, but how do you think folks address it well?
Oh, I think that word you added to the end of your sentence was an important one. And I also like that you said something about, what did you say? We change when we feel the heat or something. And the way I would answer that question is I see companies who are maybe for the first time seeing the importance of helping their people know how to interact, of helping their leaders know how to be leaders, because they are under the heat.
Yeah.
They're really feeling the pressure. They don't know what to do, where to go, or even which way to turn. And so I think whether or not we see that as encouraging, you could take that either way. And in terms of doing it well, the people in particular that, I've worked with, or that Janine and I have worked with through the program, the thing that helps contribute to that, in my opinion, is open-mindedness. period.
Mm.
So, being open to learning something different, just like I was open to Janine's perspective about small talk, even though I went into it pretty against, allowed me to see a different perspective. Again, easier said than done, but that's how people end up doing it well.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree. And so Maria has more opportunity to see people at a company level and to deal with organizations in that way, where I'm certainly focused in more individual. And a lot of the people that I'm coaching currently have been displaced for whatever reason, either downsizing or they're in a transition period, they're trying to do something different. And the most interesting thing is something that Maria just said, the desire to do something different, the desire to see it differently, where what they've been doing previously maybe hasn't worked for them. And that's why they're in the position that they're currently in and seeking something else. And they really want help in doing that thing. And for a lot of them, it truthfully is that they did work first and sometimes work only. Instead of making room for building relationships. And you know what, as leaders, when we had to pick or choose people, performance was one of the issues that we would certainly, if we had to make a list of people that we were downsizing, performance certainly rose to the top. But if everything is even and you think about the relationships that people have or the type of environment, who wants to work with them, who doesn't, who makes it difficult, all of those things, that's a deciding factor sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, at this point in their career, choosing to do something different and getting the help to do that, I'm seeing that more, that people are really interested in that relationship side. And when I say relationship, it's not just getting along with others. There's so many pieces. It's that curiosity, it's that vulnerability. It's all of those things that make other people want to work with you.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really well said, too, where it's so beyond whether or not you have fingers on keyboards and you can deliver the thing.
Right. Absolutely. We can teach those skills pretty easily. You can teach people how to do a job and move a widget. What's harder is to teach them to be good humans. Sometimes that's what it comes down to. And for me, trust. And when you trust your team and they trust you, it kind of reminds, and small talk kind of reminds people that we see them as humans first, not just workers.
Yes, I agree with you on all of that. And it's the acknowledgement of you're human and I see you. And there's a line there, right? We need to be appropriate at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I have 2 signature workshops that I offer folks. And one is the 10 ambiguous to agile for leaders and sales rep to sales pro for sales reps. And both workshops start with the 10 irrefutable laws of being a revenue professional and 10 irrefutable laws of leading a team successfully. And both of them have communicate and collaborate in there. The leadership one has it in 3 times, full disclosure. And go ahead.
So it's interesting you brought this up, because I was going to say, from a sales perspective, I went back and I looked at, over the last 2 weeks, I have received 9 cold reach outs on LinkedIn for products or services that people are just claiming will help me without ever having asked me one question.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about curiosity, this applies in all positions. This is not just leadership we're talking about.
No, it's
how do you connect with, as a sales professional, your prospects' actual needs and actually care about that? It's astounding to me that I have 9 messages that do none of that. So,
and on the receiving end of that, it's annoying. And do you engage with it? No. Right? It's deleted. It's blocked. It's whatever. It's unfriended, or whatever you want to call it. It is astounding that people don't realize that just jumping in that way makes 0 sense. And I can't imagine it translates to business.
No, it doesn't. And so, that's a whole
another conversation.
But to that point, it's, for years, it's pick up the phone, make a phone call, leave a voicemail. There's a book called, I can't remember it right now off the top of my head, but it's basically solution selling. And then there they talk about this concept of always be leaving, where not from a really weird place, but from a, hey, is this of value to you? You're almost pressure testing it, where to Maria, to your point, and Janine, like we probably have hundreds of superficial conversations on a quarterly basis with folks. You go to networking events or whatever, but it's recognizing that the small talk to get to rapport leads to the relationship, and it's a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, instant love only works on TV and Hallmark movies, and that is not reality at the end of the day, right? Or if you're raising a puppy, because that goes really fast. But anyway, like it's recognizing we're playing the long game and that we're human at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting a coaching group for women. I don't think I want to be this old, but they're like, Dion, you've done it, because my kids are older. And I was like, okay, so we're going to start a coaching cohort for, women that are in their 20s, 30s that have young kids.
Wow.
And it's a lot of balls in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that doesn't start without the small talk to the rapport, to the relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that's the takeaway here is small talk sucks only if we do it wrong at the end of the day, and we're only interested in getting what we want out of it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah. So Maria, parting thought, and where can and should people find you and connect with you?
Parting thought is really what I stand for, which is it doesn't have to be complicated, as we've talked about here. It just does not have to be complicated.
I love that.
People can reach me. I think you can see my signature, mdunn@workrite-solutions.com, or visit our website. If anyone listening wants a copy of the ant picture, I'm happy to share that. I promise there won't be a sales pitch. I'll just send you a photo.
You're not assigned to a mailing list. It'll be fine.
Right.
I love it. Janine, how about you?
I would say that seeing people as humans first is actually strategic in business.
Right.
End of the day, it really is. It could be a great leverage point for all of us. And I say that in the nicest way possible. And you can find me on LinkedIn. LV Leadership is my website as well. And would love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Thank you both for joining today. I think this has been one of the most fun and impactful conversations we've had in a while. So I appreciate everybody joining today. Make sure you're catching the replay, listen to it, go for a walk, pop your earbuds in, get out from behind the desk, listen to it with your team. But
go look for ants.
Go look for ants. Have the childlike curious at the end of the day. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining, and make it a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dion.